New Year, same sponsors, everybody. Squaring Around is proud to be brought to you by Elite Sports. Elite Sports is the only place where you can get custom merch from the show, just like this hat right here. EliteSports.com, ELETE sports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout, get a nice discount. Support the show. They also have their full line of athletes. You've probably seen my Ben McLean shirt. You've probably seen a few other shirts floating in around, including that Squaring Around sweater that I wear from time to time. So if that tickles your fancy, support the show, EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Squaring Around is also proud to be brought to you by Home Field Apparel. Home Field is your one-stop shop for most things college athletics. Not Texas State yet, but I promise when that day happens, it will be magical. So if you have a Longhorn, if you have an Aggie, you have something else in your life, get them a gift. Tell them the Square Boys sent you. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squaring Around. I just wanted to hop on here and remind you again that our audio feed is on Dave Campbell's Republic of Football Podcast Network. You can find it all there. Our video podcast right here, you're probably watching it right now, and you're like, Jacob, what are you doing? Preempting this show even more than it has to. Please give me that Squaring Around goodness. We'll always remain on YouTube. We're always going to be here. But I just wanted to let y'all know, in case y'all are looking for something to listen to at the gym, at the office, at something else. That's where all of our stuff is. So check that out for sure. Do I have anything to say beforehand? No, not really, I guess. This is really me just delaying your gratification of seeing Andrew Zimmel naked? Question mark? Andrew Zimmel's going to have to eat a couple of takes as we preview Texas State and Arizona State University, and of course recap the UTSA win. A lot to get to over here, and a lot of excuses from Andrew. Enjoy.
And how appropriate to celebrate the feast here in the city of Phoenix, which bears the name of an ancient symbol, often depicted in Christian art to represent the meaning of the victorious cross. The phoenix was a legendary bird that, after dying, rose again from its own ashes.
The People's Pope came to Arizona, and we will never be the same.
Yo, Andrew, you may know this, but my brother, he's applying for different, what's it called, like graduate degrees.
Yeah, he's gonna be a Jesuit.
He something like that, right? He wants to
Yeah.
do something in the world.
Shout out Marquette. Yeah,
So he
what's
already
up?
has his master's degree from Texas State, but he hits me up one day and he goes, "Yo, the Blue Devils, the Duke Blue Devils? Are you kidding me? Are those demonic?" We come to find out their mascot is based on a World War II outfit from France who helped the Americans, the Allied forces. Nothing to do with the devil. Now, the Sun Devils, the Arizona State Sun Devils, might be unholy.
Wow. Okay, I like where your
Flash,
head's at.
flashback, I forget the year, but Pope John Paul II does a big mass at Sun Devil Stadium.
On this day, when I have the joy of celebrating the Eucharist with you here in Phoenix, let our first thoughts be directed to the victorious cross of our Savior.
The Catholic Church's only stipulation: cover everything that has Sparky the Sun Devil.
How did I miss that? I never heard that. I've never heard that story before.
I know. I just looked it up on Wikipedia.
Oh, there you go. Um, I'm glad that you didn't start this with going crazy on me with
Why would I go
UTSA
crazy?
and Brad Jackson last weekend.
No, I
Because
didn't.
I think that we should address that because a lot of people were like, shave the head, take the clothes off.
Well, what did you say last week?
You know what? If we all are going to jump on the Brad Jackson bandwagon, put your name on it. 12-0 because Brad Jackson's going to win Conference Player of the Year. Am I right there? Don't put the wings on him. Don't put the halo on him. He had a very good game again, though, against a bad Eastern Michigan team. He does that type of game against UTSA. Shirts off, hats off, heads off. I said
We got guys quoting the podcast.
Yeah, which is great. Thanks for listening. Shout out to Squarin around. Look, I said if he played as well as he did against Eastern Michigan, then he didn't. That's what I was trying to get to. There was a lot of stuff you could take away from last week's win against UTSA. I don't think Brad Jackson is one of those. I have a lot more takeaways that I thought were like more impactful than Brad Jackson. Because of that, I'm still fully clothed. That's not to say he didn't have a good game. He just didn't play as well as he did against Eastern Michigan. That's the take I had.
One of our maroon and gold guys, Josh Brenner. Quote, don't put the wings on him. Don't put the halo on him. He had a good game. Again, though, against a bad Eastern Michigan. If he has that type of game against UTSA.
He played worse. Better team. UTSA is a better team than Eastern Michigan.
I was just confused after the whole ordeal that UTSA fans were just crashing the F out on.
Oh, my God, yeah.
It was crazy. You would think that they're the worst team in the country. Which, I mean, if you're looking at every 0-2 team in the country, they are very far from the worst team in the country.
I agree completely. I'm trying to think, like, would we have crashed out like that if the roles were reversed? If it was Texas State losing that game the way that they kind of lost that game, if Owen McCown had the type of fourth quarter that Brad Jackson had, if their running back had maybe one or two more like 20-plus yard carries, if we would have been online acting as crazy as we did, because, you know, this podcast, for all of the journalistic integrity that you bring to it, it is by far a comedy podcast before anything else. I think we both agree, right?
Yeah.
So we will make jokes at the expense of our rivals. We'll make jokes at the expense of our teams. UTSA fans legitimately were saying sports press type of things online and meeting it, which I think is the funniest thing. They were trying to get rid of Traylor. Like, I saw people saying that he should be fired after the loss against Texas State, which is something I would say in character on this podcast, not something I would genuinely believe, right? Like, nobody would be like, we got to get rid of GJ Kenny. Nobody would say that in their, like, in truthfulness. You say that as like almost like a hyperbole and a bit. But I saw people online, Roadrunner fans, the burner accounts that are threatening people's lives and saying crazy things, saying that they should get rid of Traylor. So the crash out was incredible. They even crashed out on our guy Darian. Like, look how quickly the masses will turn on you. You know, even Darian, you know, son of Joseph, was crucified online. It was crazy.
Maybe that's just a symptom of them being a football school for only like 12 or 13 years or whatever it has been at this point. And we've had football for over 100 years. We had football for so long. These guys were losing for like 3 decades and nobody even really cared, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very fair point. But I did want to get that out of the way at the jump of the podcast. The big winners.
I do
obviously,
think I'll side with our fans. I do think
you think I should be naked right now? No,
yeah.
Absolutely not.
Get off your clothes, bro.
Lincoln Perry regressed back to what we thought he was, which was a 70-yard a game guy. I thought that was an interesting subplot that people kind of didn't bring up nearly enough, right? Like, hey, the guy averages like 75 yards a game, has a good game against Eastern Michigan, a bad team, and people are saying that he's going to win the Heisman Trophy.
I think.
Okay, let's pump the brakes, right?
So when we got on here, I didn't even go to the Eastern Michigan game. I knew it was going to be like that. I wasn't afraid of Eastern Michigan.
Right. 100%.
Now, into the first half, when we were only up by like 3 points or something, it was like 21-17 or whatever the score was. I don't know. I didn't go. Yeah. Like.
You're talking about Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, I was a little like, huh? Because I was watching on the other side the Vaqueros completely destroy what was that team that they were playing? Oh, Sol Ross. See, that was so
Yeah.
long ago. So, flashback to this past weekend, UTSA. That was really my first time getting to watch the team, and we all knew that UTSA was going to bring a lot more to the table than Eastern Michigan did. They always do. Hashtag this game means more. There's only been one game, I think it's 2017, where this game was more than a one score game. I guess maybe if you count last year's 1-2, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
like in closeness of the scores, you know? Like both sides, it means more. And the big question that I had all week was whether or not it was going to be like a true shootout or it was going to be like a lot of like Michigan and Ohio State kind of like running back play.
Now, did you think that that was a shootout?
No, the second half, yeah.
I was very frustrated. In fact, if you wanted to be really nitpicky and really negative, you could say Texas State should have won that game by 2 scores. Like there was a world where Texas State absolutely demolished UTSA. You kind of let them get back into the game, but the clip of the running back, what was it, Harvey, like shaking his
Oh,
head,
Robert Henry?
Robert Henry shaking his head on the sideline. Oh, why? Oh, because I'm thinking of fantasy football. Sorry. Yeah, Robert Henry shaking his head on the sideline. I was just blown. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I posted online. I thought it was the funniest thing that you have this great running back game and your defense can't make a stop. Like we've seen quarterbacks do that before, where it's like, oh man, I gotta go back out. I just came off the field. I gotta go back out there. As a running back, like you're pass blocking, you're looking for the hole, and he just couldn't get a break. But I will say, I thought he was the best player on the field on Saturday.
That
I
guy
thought
is one of the
I thought
best
he was
players
the
in the
best.
country right now, too, according to some
Yeah.
metrics. He's one of the best running backs in the country. He leads in yards after catch. He leads in yards from scrimmage. He leads in a bunch of different categories right now.
Which I will say that blew. I didn't think that the hype was real around him. To be completely honest with you, I know we had Darren on and we saw what he did against A&M, but my A&M fans were telling me like second and third string guys out there that when he had a lot of big plays,
I don't know, dude. He did a
he was
lot of
good.
stuff in the first and second quarter too against A&M, where they did have their ones and twos out there, and not just the 12th man himself,
Not the walk-ons. No,
not the
I mean like
walk-ons. By the way,
I
A&M's
was
not
really
going to do a
impressed.
damn thing this year. So sorry if you're like a closet Aggie fan, but
Colton, we're talking to you.
that team is not going to do a damn thing, son.
That's a tough look. Elko, hot seat.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just, unfortunately, it's just the way that they line their schedule up and the way that the recruiting cycle works. Like, you can't get these high school guys in fast enough to make a true impact. Now, thank God, GJ Kinney, in his third year, we're starting to see that sort of like matriculate into like the program. I think, if I'm remembering these stats correctly, it's like 30 something starters returned from last year. But you don't know them, right? Nobody knows them. We're going into game three. We still don't really know these guys.
I don't
Uh,
know. I feel like I know more today than I did before UTSA. Like
yeah.
if you had to give me like hey, what is this team? Now, granted, I'm telling you this before we play Arizona State and things could go sideways and off the rails, and we'll get into that here. But if you ask me like today, how well do you know this team? I'd say pretty well. I'd say I would invite this team for a drink. I know
So,
this team well enough that I would feel comfortable going out with them.
so if you gave like a report card grade, offense, defense, special teams, where do our boys fall? Like
Compared, let me
A,
ask you
B,
this:
C, D.
comparatively to what? Right? Are we grading against UTSA? Or are we grading against the Sun Belt?
Yeah, against the Sun Belt, I guess, because I feel like UTSA is always such an unfair comparison, especially this year, because I feel like right at the end we did not stomp on their necks, you know? We were like saving
Yeah,
face, everybody.
we let them breathe a little longer than we
Let
should
them
have.
breathe. We were in victory formation. That's kind of sick.
Against the Sun Belt, I will say I think the offense is like a B. I think it's a little bit worse than it was last year. Even with a better running back room, even with an okay offensive line, I just haven't seen the explosive plays that I saw last year. And maybe we get that this week, but I just haven't seen it yet. I think that this team, Bo Sparks has stepped into the Joey Hobart role perfectly, but we've seen that Brad really relies on one guy. He's not spreading the love around again. 2 game sample size, I'm not sure. So I would give the offensive B plus. The defense, which had the most question marks, I think for us, played pretty well against UTSA. All things being equal, they did an okay job. So I'd say that's probably like a B minus. And special teams, I'm giving an A minus to because they, again, comparatively to like the rest of the Sun Belt, and I haven't gotten to see a ton of the slate yet, But kickoff returns, you're keeping those to a minimum. The punting, when they do have to go out there, it's clean. You saw what happened with UTSA, that they let a punt go out of the back of the end zone. So I'd say A minus. So the whole team, I'm saying, is a pretty solid B plus. I think average rise right now. I don't know if that's good enough to beat Arizona State, but I do think that that's good enough to win some games in the Sun Belt. And I do think that 7-5. I'm closer to 8-4 today than I am to 7-5. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think if I was going to do the same thing, it'd be offense B minus, defense probably C plus, and then special teams A plus. So
Oh,
that's
so
probably
you're a little bit more negative on the offense and defense.
well, the offense, the defense definitely. Like
Okay.
they've openly admitted it now that this is a bend don't break defense.
I mean, just being in the right spot, making the razor tackles even when the runs broke. Like, I still had to make the tackle be the last line of defense so that we bend don't break.
And I'm not sure I kind of like it. Especially, I was talking to my dad about this too. Like for the longest time in the bad years, like the only thing that Texas State could really hang its hat on was like superb linebacker play. Now all of our money, I mean, you could tell just like based on the guys that we're recruiting, is going to like the defensive front, edge rushers, and like guys on the outside cornerback room.
Which is, I would say, similar to GJ Kinney has that NFL background. I think he scouts for and recruits for NFL type offenses and defenses. And that's kind of what the NFL's turned into. Whereas, like, hey, I need a guy that goes after the quarterback, and I need a guy that makes sure that the receivers don't get balls.
And that's also goes right into Dex's whole background too, as a corner. He's just huge. That guy's gigantic, and he has like tremendous frame. Like you see all those guys on the outside, and I think those two specific position groups over the last 3 years have been supremely invested in, and that's where you can see the difference. So of course, like our play over the middle side of the defense, much to be considered. Also, we still can't catch a mobile quarterback. Owen McCown, not really a mobile guy, but he looked pretty good against us.
Yeah, he moved to the pocket really well. And for all of the disses that Owen McCown got, I don't necessarily think he was the reason they lost that game, but I will for sure put my name on he's not the reason that they would have won that game. And at this level, at the group of five level, sometimes you just need a quarterback that doesn't make mistakes. But
Dude, it was all the damn drops that they had too.
Yes,
Like it's like that
yes.
that video of CeeDee Lamb and Quentin Johnson.
I woke up in Chris Brown's body. So how this turned into Freaky Friday. But we got no choice but to turn this sideways. I can't believe that it's Freaky Friday.
I woke up in CeeDee Lamb's body. Like David Amador, like all these Devin McEwen, all those guys are like the heart and soul of their team. And Owen McCown played like pretty well, 23 for 43, 219, 2 touchdowns. His longest in the air was 42. That was impressive, right? You guys probably were like, "Wow, Jakob, radio guy." Hey,
Stats.
Stats,
Hashtag stats.
hashtag stats. But like, it was really all the drops in crucial situations. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. It felt like the first game that we played at the Alamo Dome under GJ Kinney in 2020.
With Finley.
Yeah, it was like the same thing. We had the same thing happen.
Well, and then they had a superhuman on the other side in Frank Harris.
And they kept lining up 12 people on the field. Not 12 personnel, 12 people on the field. They had a bunch of silly little penalties like that.
And again, because I want to get to Arizona State here, but to put a bow on it, 2-1 against Trailer now. Are you feeling better in the GJ Kinney era? Like I look at that
1,000%. If there's only one game that we always win, I want it to be this one. Like this means so much. I was talking to Kelly. You and me actually talked to Kelly, but before you texted yesterday, I was having a separate convo with him. And not to give like everything away in that conversation, but that basically I'm giving away everything away by having this conversation anyway. But UT SA, formerly UTSA, now it's UT San Antonio, and the UT Health System had their big merger last week. So now it's UT San Antonio, and it's all like one thing. So they're like big and like, ooh, we have a medical school. Ooh, we have an engineering school. We have all these things. Now they're like the third largest research institution in the state. It's a huge deal.
Behind who? A&M in Texas?
A&M in Texas, yeah.
Okay.
And so like they're huge right now. Like that's all that they want to do. I knew that this team, the university, the administrators all wanted like last week to go good, especially because Texas State is slowly creeping in to the greater San Antonio like area. They're recruiting super heavy, not on the football field, academically across the
Yes.
front. They're trying to make a huge impact in San Antonio. So this game is now very sneakily meaning a lot for a
Well,
lot of people.
you can throw the tweet up here with the Kelly Dampus going to a high school in San Antonio to talk to future Bobcats, and
Mhm.
I, that was so. I don't know. I don't want to say that that's premeditated, but it felt very premeditated, and it felt like, hey, we're gonna come into like the song goes, we're coming to your trap and take your trap.
Why you trying to take over your trap? God, why you trying to take over your trap? Fans, trap.
Like, I mean, they came in and just
Yeah.
completely.
It's not just the football team. This is everybody across the board, like academics, football, every sport ever, the hill country.
Yeah.
Like Kelly has been going across the state, it feels like, and setting up these partnerships with community colleges and doing like for example, it's in Austin Community College, like Bats to Cats, like that sort of program, making sure that these guys can ultimately end up transferring to Texas State. And so he's trying to set some of the same stuff up in San Antonio.
And I'll say, at the end of the day, the number that means the most is an enrollment. It isn't, wins on the football field. It's how much money can your university bring in. And if you have more alums, ideally, you'll have more alumni sponsors. And I think that's part of it too, man, is that you come to Texas State, you have an incredible time in San Marcos, the football team wins, the basketball team wins, the baseball team wins, you go off, you work your 9 to 5 job, you hopefully bring in a little bit of cheddar, and then you give it back to the school. And then when they ask for donations, you're there for it. And when they ask for season ticket holders, you're there for it. That's the idea, I think, to make a long story short, for all of this, is money.
Yeah. Well, we talked about with Darian too, but San Antonio is like the seventh or sixth most populated city in the state or something like that. It isn't. There's so much money here. It
And
doesn't even
and
make
I'll
sense.
say, I don't know if you watched the Darian live with Lisa Campos.
Oh yeah, I
I,
watched a little bit of it.
I was never a fan of Larry Tice. I think a lot of our fans know the background Jacob and I have. One of our first real like bridges we crossed was the Fire Tice banner that flew over the football game. That was one of our first like collaborative efforts between us. And so I know what bad ADs look like. Lisa Campos is not a bad AD, but she feels like she's over her head. Like this new era of college athletics has come, and guys like Don and Dampus and GJ Kenny all get it. And I think Trailer gets it. I don't know if Lisa Campos gets it. I don't know if UTSA gets it. And that would be very concerning to me if I was a fan of those programs.
I was out at tailgate, just kind of getting a vibe for the area, like on Saturday. And who do I run into but Lisa Campos? She was running around making her rounds around tailgate and ran to the Alumni Association for UTSA and all this stuff. No Humex tent. But let me tell you about my Saturday, because I told you about the Saturday like night part of it.
Yeah.
I ended up at this bar out at like the Rim, like 1604 area. Super late when I got there. It was like midnight. Met up with a few people. But I also saw our boy Christopher. Do you remember this guy? Worked at KTSW for a while. He was like the hip hop director in the music section.
Oh, yeah. That's a minute. That's been a
So
long time. Looked like he's from Narnia.
yeah, he's this huge black guy, and he comes
Wait,
up.
we're talking about different people. We're talking about different people.
What? Who are
That
you
we're
talking about?
I was talking about a guy who looked like he was out of Narnia. This
Mr.
is not
Tumnus?
this.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm not talking. We're not talking about the same guy.
No. Okay. Well, anyway, there's this guy named Christopher. He used to work at KTSW in the music department. And he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, do you do the Squaring Around podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Dude, I listen every week." And the first
Shout
thing
out
I
Chris.
told him was, "Shut the up." And he was like, "No, bro, I promise." And he busted out his phone and showed me that he was a subscriber. I was like, "Dude." So we were talking about the game, and there was a bunch of Texas State people out there. So shout out everybody who's showing up big in San Antonio, even after the game. They were getting after it. I was not. I was drinking Red Bulls. I'm sober right now. Marathon training.
No big deal. Humble brag.
Humble bag.
You want to talk about Arizona State?
Yes, I do.
All right, so this team is underwhelming, Jacob. After going to the college football playoffs last year, after beating Texas State in the fourth quarter of last year's showdown in San Marcos, most disappointing team in college football this year? I think you can make a case for Arizona State.
Really?
Well, you lose to Mississippi State. And I understand that that was Mississippi State's Super Bowl. And I get that Texas State does not have the dogs that Mississippi State probably does. Get it? The Bulldog reference. Anyway,
Bulldog.
um, you cannot lose that game the way that Arizona State lost it. Kenny Dillingham has talked throughout the practices, throughout the spring, that this is a team that was practicing like a 3-9 team, which is crazy. Like that's not something you hear from a guy who went toe to toe with the team that lost in the college football semifinals in the University of Texas, but it took them to the fourth quarter, it took them to overtime to beat them. I'm shocked how bad that they've looked through 2 weeks, and I'm concerned as we go to Tempe if this is going to be one of those. All right, drop the pants, get the belt off. We're going to take a spanking to you type of games.
On their defense too, Mississippi State looks a lot bit better than they have in like the past decade, to be honest. Right?
I would
Like
say the last couple of years, yes.
since God rest his soul, since Mike Leach passed.
Yeah, I was gonna say since your boy Dak was there.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's like a decade then.
That's a decade ago, yeah.
Because that dude's been a Cowboy for like almost 12 years now.
2016 was the last time that they were in the top 10. So yeah, that would be about 10. Yeah.
That was not with Leach though, right?
No, that was like 3 coaches ago. Leach passed away, and it was at like the worst. Well, obviously, anytime somebody dies, it's bad, but like it's the worst possible time because it was like that changing of the guard in the SEC. Kirby Smart's Bulldogs were turning into what Nick Saban's Tide was. Lane Kiffin had come in there, Heupel at Tennessee. So with Leach dying, it was like this whole program is building up, and now it's just taken the legs out from under them. They have a terrible season last year, but again, beating Arizona State at home matters to that fan base. And it matters to me because I think Arizona State's still a pretty damn good team in the Big 12. They were picked in a lot of preseason polls to win the Big 12 again, and they're looking very flat through 2 weeks.
I think I was kind of concerned because Kenny Dillingham is doing that same thing again, where he's like, number one, we need a facility, an indoor facility. How they don't have an indoor facility before us, and we don't have an indoor facility either, but we're in the same like stage of that development, like getting donors to donate, crowdsourcing basically is insane.
Well, you got to remember too that Arizona State for the longest time was the secondary school in the state of Arizona. Arizona was number 1. Arizona State was number 2. Arizona State had an incredible baseball program, historically great baseball program, but they are not the team, at least when they were in the Pac-12, that was going to win the conference. It was consistently the Arizonas of the world, the UCLAs of the world, the USCs of the world, the Oregons of the world. Arizona State was always the team that you go in, it's a cupcake game, you get the win, you move on. Like nobody considered them a great football school. If they won, it was huge because it was on Pac-12 After Dark and it was an upset win. But for the most part, they haven't been good. You remember Herm Edwards, ESPN fame?
Mm-hmm.
Head coach at Arizona State, didn't understand recruiting, didn't understand sponsorship, didn't understand NIL before NIL was like a really big thing. So they are decades behind a lot of these other Power 5 schools. And
I don't know. I'm going to push back against that Herm Edwards thing.
Really?
I think he did. I just think he was about his own bag. He didn't want the school to get rich. He was getting rich. He's about his money still, bro. He's still getting money.
Money is the only color that we care about, right? Green. Yeah, no, it's just it's a 15.5 point spread for Texas State this weekend. Last weekend they went to the Alamo Dome it was started open at 4.5 points. I think got as down to 3.5 at one point. I thought it was going to be even money at my kickoff, and it never got there. But yeah, no. So there's a lot of money going on to Arizona State. A lot of Vegas types, a lot of the big sports bettor types are putting a lot of cheese on the Sun Devil side of things, thinking that this is going to be a bounce back game and this is the first win of the season for the Sun Devils.
Which I guess it should be in terms of like you're looking at their schedule. They play Northern Arizona State University or whatever, NAAU or whatever. RJ Martinez actually played there last year or 2 years ago. Now he's in the middle of nowhere. Colton told me the name of the school. I have no idea. So then they play Mississippi State. So now they're 1-1. They're looking to bounce back, looking to get like a semblance of like what they were last year. They returned Sam Levitt. They returned that tremendous receiver that they have on the outside. But Sam Levitt, to me, looks like Arizona's Owen McCown. Like
So-
he should be a really big deal, but will he?
Okay, so we were trying to bring on Arizona State guys this week. Eric Ruby from PHX Sun Devils. So it's like Phoenix, but it's PHX Sun Devils. He gave me some talking points because he couldn't come on with us, but he wanted me to get this take off to you, Jacob. He said Sam Levitt has not looked like himself, hesitates to make reads, turnover prone, overthrowing guys. He needs to get his confidence back. So you're talking about Owen McCown. It's kind of similar here. Right,
This is why I made the comparison, right?
Hey, look, I'm just saying, Jacob might know ball. This is a guy who is going to come into this game against Texas State, and we talked a little bit about what they looked like against UTSA. We talked about what they looked like against Eastern Michigan. Texas State, not bad on the outside. I don't think that they're shutdown corners by any means, but they're not the type of corners that are going to give up big plays. If you wanted to buy in, 15.5 points. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I had this as an L, but this is
not a gambling podcast. But if there was a way to make some money, put in some money on the ponies this week.
I'm just saying. 15.5 points.
Taking the win, not the points.
I think they cover.
You think they cover?
I think. Well, let's see. And this is where things get interesting because I look at it and I say, the Texas State offense. We'll go positive Zim. Put the positive hat on. Positive Zim. Brad Jackson has looked serviceable through 2 weeks. Is that good enough for you guys? Serviceable. I'll give him serviceable. Not putting the angel wings on him, but he's serviceable.
So now, if we beat the Sun Devils, you're going to put angel wings on Brad Jackson. Question.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not putting angel wings on anybody.
He played the devil. He walked into the place that Pope John Paul II thought it was too much of a demonic force.
And grant us the peace and unity of your kingdom, where you live forever and ever. Amen. The peace of the Lord be with you always.
This is the social clip, by the way. This is great. Look, if he goes in, beats Arizona State, beats the Sun Devils, you know what? Yes, put the halo, put the wings on him. But I'm not saying that he's having these tremendous games because I think that the game against Eastern Michigan was really good. I think last week against UTSA was good. You know, he played a little bit worse, but it was a better team. If he comes in and has a similar game to UTSA and Eastern Michigan here, I will have to become a believer. I'll have to start calling him Action Bradson or whatever you guys have been calling him. I just don't. I'm still holding out on the fact that this is a guy who this is his first season under center, that I don't want to put those expectations on him because if we lose this game, do I come on the podcast the next week and go like, hey, what happened to your guy, Jacob? What happened to your guy? You know, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say like, this is a good team. This is a good Sunbelt quarterback. This is a serviceable offense, and he does a good job running it. That's what I'm going to say. But if you go in and beat him, yeah, I guess you're right. We got to put the wings on him.
I was very impressed with his post game. Like, remember I talked about this was when we didn't have any single content in the summer, and we heard from all the quarterbacks in like one day, and I was like, who was it? I'm pretty sure it was Nate Yarnold that sounded the most like quarterback like. And then Holden Gierner did not sound at all really like a quarterback. Brad Jackson sounded okay. Brad Jackson sounded like Barack Obama pretty much. Like he was amazing on the mic. He crushed it so much to the point where I've been begging the athletics department to get me an interview with this dude.
Well, you keep putting him in. I'm going to take us a little bit. Can I take us behind the curtain a little bit here?
Go ahead.
Jacob has requested the friend of the podcast, Lincoln Perry.
Everybody on the roster I've requested, by the way.
He's requested GJ Kenny prior to the season. He's requested. So, look, I'd like to hear myself talk as much as the next guy. Jacob loves to hear me talk as well. That's why we have a podcast. I would like to hear from our players. I'd like to have some of these guys come on the podcast. And it would be another thing if we couldn't make the schedules work. If it was like, hey, they only record in the afternoon, we can't only record in the morning type of thing. But we're not even getting responses back. So, look, I understand you don't love us. I get it, you know. But can we get somebody on here? You know, I think we do a pretty good job covering the team.
That time difference in Arizona, too, is an MFer. Oh, my God.
2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you didn't know that when you were trying to schedule people, did you?
Nope.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm geographically challenged. Everybody knows that. I thought
I
everybody was on McAllen time for the longest time.
When I moved to Milwaukee, he texted me to record the podcast and goes like, same time zone, right? I was like, yeah. We're all in the Chicago Central Time Zone. Good, excellent.
That's a big reason why you took that job, honestly.
I only do Central Time Zone. I don't know what to tell you guys.
By the way, I hate to break it to you, but I was talking to Danny yesterday, our boy, and
Uh-huh.
you know how you have this fantasy of all of our friends eventually moving to Chicago.
Yeah, I've been trying.
Danny was like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm liking Austin a little too much right now." That's literally what he
Yeah,
said.
I bet the foodie app he's on. He's in every single restaurant in the
Shout
city of
out
Austin.
Belly. Yeah,
Yeah, talking about Belly. Come on,
talk
man. What
about
are we
Belly.
doing here? I love Danny. Shout out our boy Danny. I will say, don't look. Everybody's different at 21, 22 years old. Like, we're going to conquer the world. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I remember standing in the corner with Jacob. Jacob was like, I love the Valley. I love the state of Texas. I'm not going to move. If Jacob Rodriguez is now talking about, like, hey, it's a big world out there, I might,
Big
then
world out there.
you should as an individual be thinking to yourself, yeah, I can move. Like, that's all I'm going to say. If Mr. Valley, what's the Valley's zip code, Jakey?
Mr. 956.
Mr. 956 is out here talking about, oh, New York, Chicago, LA, like you, Danny Richter, should be thinking about, hey, maybe Chicago, Bean City. I don't know. So anyway,
Let me take you behind the
that's
scenes
my
too.
take.
I'm going to take you even further behind the scenes. Yesterday began my second year on my second contract at Ken's. So I've been at Ken's now for almost 4 years. So I have 361 days, Andrew, on this contract. What are we going to do? We're going to get the Ryan Russillo kind of treatment around here.
You think
Going to
so?
re-sign? What's going to happen with the company overall? Ooh, what's going to go?
Yeah, TV's really doing a lot right now. So good luck. Jacob might be unemployed. Might be on some
Dude.
fun employment here pretty soon if things,
I know.
things don't turn around.
This might be the main gig pretty soon. Thank God I got this.
All right, Eric Ruby from PHX Sun Devils says the secondary has been the most disappointing room on the team. They really had an argument for the most talented group going into the season. This team needs Javion Robinson, Keith Albany, and Xavier Alford to step up in a big way. Montana Warren has been a good nickel. He's the only defensive guy starting this year who wasn't starting last year. So he steps in and makes a difference. Jacob, are you concerned about Texas State's offense versus the Arizona State secondary and defense?
I'm only concerned because of how big those guys were last year. Like, they made a very big point to kind of punish Joey Hobart. You guys all remember that game? He got smacked several times. He was getting drilled on the field because they knew he was our best guy. And so they're going to try to do the same thing to Bo Sparks. They're going to try and do the same thing to Lincoln Perry because I expect us to get kind of exotic and try to get the ball in space to running backs because we have 5 of them that all look like they can make a difference. A guy that I was really pleasantly surprised see kind of come into his own. And for everybody that watched the first game, I didn't. But in week 2, I got to see it in person. Is Kylan Evans,
Oh, really?
Kylan Evans is our biggest really receiver that we have outside of the tight end group. He was recruited as a quarterback, now made the switch to receiver, but he's kind of like our first big body that we got like that. Unless you count, I guess, who's that other dude from before? The guy that was talking about Nemo and what I'm talking about?
Chris Don?
No.
No.
Well, Chris Don Jr. is kind of tall or kind of short.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not a lot of tall dudes. Not a lot of tall dudes on this roster from my my experience here. You want to talk about guys that surprised me? Jalen Jenkins surprised me.
You were pretty high on him though. You liked him before
Perry.
Perry, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I still do. I still like him a little bit more. TBJ didn't play very much. So I think that there's room for those two guys. But secondary wise, Bo Sparks has been the leading receiver 2 weeks in a row. If you ask me, is it going to be 3 weeks in a row? At some point, somebody's watching film, Jakey. Somebody's watching film going, we got to stop this guy. But like Darren said previously on UTSA week, like I'm going to say this week, if GJ Kenny can scheme guys up, he's going to scheme them up. Arizona State should be able to neutralize Bo Sparks, but if they don't, it wouldn't shock me, if that makes sense.
Big Arizona State headline is that they returned pretty much everybody on defense from last year. So they know us pretty well and what we're trying to do. And we kind of have a young core, but we're trying to do the same thing from last year. And our offensive line's the biggest. So it's going to be a really big test to see are these guys now the best, Are you the biggest and also the best? Are you the most technically proficient? They kept Brad pretty clean, only gave up 1 sack against UTSA.
So Arizona State's similar to Texas State, Jake, in that through 2 games, all the wide receivers and tight ends not named Jordan Tyson have accounted for 29 yards of receiving. So through 2 games, it's been 1 receiver who's done a lot of the damage. similar to Texas State.
Yeah, because he had what? He only had 68 yards really last week? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They are having a trouble getting the ball to people.
Yeah,
What did they do
11
against
times
Northern
time.
Arizona? Have a field day? Like, come on, lock in, guys.
Yeah.
Jordan Tyson, by the way, is an NFL talent. I don't know, like, because
Hold on.
they were talking about this in the Arizona State press conference this week, whether or not Texas State was going to have trouble going against 2 first-round guys, right? You can argue Texas State's done that exactly 6 times probably in their entire, like, year to year. Like, they do that probably against UTSA. Well, never mind.
No, stop it.
Never mind.
No.
You could argue
Baylor-
Texas State never does that, maybe.
I would say that when we played Baylor a couple times, that was when you got some first round talent potentially
Yeah.
on the field. Yeah, I think so. I think that there's
Last
like
year?
a potential.
Or 2 years ago? That
None
team
of those guys
sucked.
went. None of those guys went in the first round. I'm saying first round talent,
Like
I think that's
evaluation.
different. Yeah,
I
think
guess
there's
everybody's
guys-
a first round talent until they're not.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like you're like, oh, there's NFL talent on this roster. I'm like, all right, let's Scatterboo last
So
year
if
was
I'm
really
if
good.
I'm looking with a broad brush like that, then I will go back to my original take and say Texas State does that like 6 times a year. What are you talking about?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I
Finish
think that
first
Texas State-
round.
See, this is what's tough though, because Sun Belt guys usually don't go in the first round,
That's
and
true.
then they usually don't get drafted either. Now they end up going undrafted and getting on teams, and then you'll see them in like 3 years. It's like, wow, this guy worked his way from the practice field onto the NFL turf. But like, I don't know.
Well, here's what I'll zag. Transfer portal, baby.
Mm.
Guy formerly at Oklahoma, now at Georgia Southern randomly. There you go.
All right, that's fair. That's a fair point. Yeah. So look, we've been talking in circles here. I want to do 3 players who you're keeping an eye on this week for Texas State, and I want to get a score projection.
3 players. Does
3 players.
Brad count as one of them? Like I'm still
Brad can be one of them. Brad can be one of them.
I really want to see Torrance Burgess Jr. GJ Kinney talked about getting him more involved. He played only special teams reps last week. Everybody was like, is he hurt? What's going on there?
Punishment.
Yeah, sounds like it. So I want to see if that actually irons itself out or not. You were talking about the receiving and how it's kind of been very one-dimensional with Bo Sparks only. I'd really love to see Chris Don Jr. kind of just take over a game, honestly. He's crazy fast. And is it too much for me to ask for a little tight end play? Titus Lyons, I'm looking at you. Jake Simpson, I'm looking at you.
Jacob wants some tight end play. Pause.
Ayo.
That's crazy. So all right, I like that offensive line. Brad Jackson, TBJ. I like that. I'm gonna add Ryan Nolan to that list, a safety for Texas State. He had a really good game against UTSA. Again, the secondary has been a strong suit for Texas State through the first 2 weeks. And if Texas State wants to win this game, yes, the trenches matter. Yes, getting to the quarterback matters. But I think holding down the fort on the back end of the defense is going to be really important. So Ryan Nolan, you got my look. That's my lock to keep an eye on.
Going back to that bend, don't break defense, stepping into the mind of Dexter McCoyle for a second. If you are to have like kind of a safety net, wouldn't that start with the secondaries? Wouldn't you first invest all that time, effort, money, and energy into that group, you know? I guess it makes sense that we would kind of shirk linebacker play. I don't know. I've been thinking about this since I had this convo with my dad.
So what's interesting about, so again, we're up against it, but the thing about linebackers in college football in 2025 is that everybody is kind of, I don't want to say, we used to have unique teams with unique identities. And the Sun Belt still has that a little bit, but for the most part, everybody's kind of playing the same offense for a lot of ways, which means you have to have mobile linebackers. You need to be able to get out in space and play defense in a pass coverage type of situations versus having run stopping linebackers. Texas State is running out linebackers who are smaller, who are a little bit more fast, a little bit more quick. And because of that, when we face teams that run the ball, you can see, hey, this is going to be a gang type of tackle, not a individual in the open field making that type of tackle. That would be, again, 2 games, 3,000 feet view of why our linebacker play isn't as good as it needs to be.
You asked for a score prediction. I didn't give it to you. 42-36. Texas State. I think we walk in. It's our game to lose, honestly. Like, I think we have the better
42,
I think we have the better quarterback. I think things could go correct for us. I don't know. We had like a random safety. You got to start throwing in these random points there.
Okay, that's fine. Still going to lean Arizona State. I mean, like again, you don't come to the Squaring Around podcast to get peaches and cream. You come here for the medicine. This is the medicine. I think this is the first loss of the season. I had this as
Makes
the first
sense.
loss of the season in the preseason. If we go into Arizona State and get the win, that says a hell of a lot about Texas State. It says a hell of a lot about GJ Kenny and the lessons that were learned last year in Houston at NRG, losing to Sam Houston State, are paying off in 2025, which is all you can ask for from a coach and from a culture standpoint. So I have Arizona State winning in a tight-ish one. I go 38-28 for Arizona State, but that's where we're at.
Dude, I'm so mad at GJ Kinney because I asked him a question on Monday and he answered it perfectly on Tuesday because I think he had time to like
Think about it.
think about what I asked him versus what somebody else asked him. And he was talking about the difference between last year and this year. Yeah, coach, congrats on the win again.
Thank you.
Just wanted to go back to last year, having played Arizona State so tightly, they go on to do what they did in the CFP and your team's watching behind. Was there ever like a moment of realization, like, wow, we were like that close, it felt like a possession at one point.
Yeah, but it's one of more of those deals where you were disappointed in the way the game ended. Obviously, we played well at times, but you're not going to win that game with turnovers like we had. Them tying the ball game up right before the half, that was a big play. And then the turnovers were really the key, and so we got to make sure we continue to do a really good job in that area.
And like how he had seen the team kind of like continue to progress into the CFP playoffs, talking about Arizona State, of course, and then see his own team go to the bowl game and then realize that they were like that close. And that's the soundbite I wanted. But I did not get that on Monday. He was just like, yeah.
I will say this. This is my bold prediction. If Texas State beats Arizona State this weekend, then you will not lose another game this season. If you beat Arizona State this weekend, on paper, now granted, injuries happen, everything else happens. If you want to do all those, disclaimers, if you beat Arizona State this weekend on the road, there's not another team in the Sun Belt Conference that is going to be better equipped, better prepared, better funded, better talent. You're not going to have that in the Sun Belt. If you beat Arizona State this year, there's no reason that you're not looking at an 11-win season or a 12-win season. And if you're winning 12 games, there's a world where it's you and Tulane potentially getting that 12th spot. And again, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I know the fans are loving this. It's chum in the water. There's no reason that you should lose to JMU if you beat Arizona State. That's all I'm going to say.
But if I've seen a team that can find a way,
Yes.
it's this one for sure. I don't know. I'm a big momentum guy. I think this would be a huge team moment for the team. First time really that the team is traveling for a game. Last week's travel didn't really count for travel. They're going to Arizona State. They probably will be there right now as this episode releases. So I think if they pull it off, they go into a hostile environment, there's going to be crazy vibes for the Bobcats. And there's no reason, to your point, which is kind of why I'm thinking the Bobcats this week.
You like it?
I'm liking it.
It's two different teams. One team's coming back from Mississippi State losing. The other team's coming off of the best win of the season against UTSA. Like it's two very different mindsets. And look, the lesson from last year, you got to look at every single week, 1 week at a time, 1 quarter at a time. So if they can do that and they beat Arizona State, that is great. But I
will say
GJ Kinney
GJ Kinney did clip farm, and he was like, "What did I text you yesterday?" He was like, "Honestly, they're really talented, and honestly, they're probably better."
Yes.
So that immediately scared the hell out of me, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah."
Well, it's one.
I mean, he's supposed to say that though too.
It's another one of those Michael Jordan. Don't give him a bulletin board material. I love my opponent. They're better than us. They're more talented than us.
A lot of respect between Kenny Dillingham and GJ Kinney too.
I would love to throw up the Tom Brady quote of every time I talk nice about a corner, I was going to go after him. So maybe that's the case.
Dude, let me read you just a bit of Tom Brady's latest newsletter. My guy, Tom Brady. Subject line. Sorry, these stupid Cirque du Soleil people keep emailing my personal for coverage. Subject line, can you take a punch?
Good question.
Texas State is looking to answer that question. Walking into Sun Devil Stadium, God is on our side, Zimmel.
Can you take a punch? If Lincoln Perry comes on this podcast, I might have to take one.
That's why I invited him on the pod, actually.
I know.
He said, let's circle back next week. By the way, official answer from Lincoln Perry.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Lincoln, come on the podcast. We love you. Number
That's
one
my
Lincoln
guy,
Perry
dude.
podcast.
Yeah, that was
Number one Lincoln
probably
Perry
the best thing I wrote last year was his feature. Guess what? I'm pitching those viral vaqueros, though. Those guys are taking over TikTok. They have like millions of views on all their S. It's crazy.
Dude, I will say, well, yeah, you got the entire valley following you. That gives, it's kind of a monolith right there. Talk about
if everybody in the valley looks at your one tweet. By the way, Valley's getting crazy populated right now. Shout out my cousin having a baby. Shout out his sister also having a baby. Boom.
I'll tell you, Stephen Miller and JD Vance do not like hearing that.
What do you mean? JD Vance is a proud Catholic man.
Yeah. Okay.
It's true. I'm going to speak for all of our fans. I can't believe you didn't get naked on this show. What the heck, dude?
Okay.
Let's show us a little.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
A little strip tease. When are you going to shave your head, too?
Thanks for squaring, everybody.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.